My name is Liam Kilby. I'm the Associate Director for the MBA Recruitment and Admissions team at Saïd Business School, University of Oxford. I've been in the team for about 5 years now. I started off on the recruitment side as recruitment manager for North and South America. And then about 2 years ago, I moved up into the Associate Director role. So my job at the moment is to head up the department whose responsibilities lie essentially within sourcing and connecting with and finding and talking and encouraging people who are interested in either the full-time MBA or the 1+1 MBA to apply to both of those programs. So we have a really great team, about 12, 13 people plus me that leads them, working across the globe, looking for the right kind of diversity, the right kind of personalities, the right kind of mix that we want to try and build as interesting and as diverse a cohort as possible. I'll start off with the two that my team and I have direct responsibility for. So that's the full-time Oxford MBA. This is a one-year program, 12 months long, and it is a full 12 months. You'll start in September. You'll work all the way through to the first week of the following September. The class size is approximately 325, thereabouts, give or take, on a certain year. You'll begin with the fundamentals of business, what you would expect from an MBA. So you'll have those core modules that you do in the first semester, things like finance and analytics and marketing and strategy. And then as the year progresses, we'll give you a chance to get involved with activities and electives that allow you and encourage you to really explore what we feel is important as a business school, and that's the intersection between traditional business and the role it can play in society, in creating some kind of impact for society. And the second half of the year allows you to really personalize and tailor your choice with those elective choices that you have. In the summer, you'll have an option of a few things that you can do. There's an internship that allows you to get out of the school, maybe gain some traction in a career or a sector that you're looking to make a more permanent move into. There's a consulting project that allows you to act as a consultant on behalf of a lot of our partner corporations around the world. So you don't go and work for a consulting firm, you're working as a consultant in industry, hoping to kind of make some changes or improve some efficiencies for them on a real life problem that they have. Or the third option is that you can stay in the school over the summer and take more electives and get some more theoretical classroom learning for those people that aren't maybe looking to pivot, but maybe looking to accelerate in their own careers and stay where they are, but go back with a more breadth of a mindset, or people that have their own companies and looking to return to those corporations once they've graduated. And that takes you through to the end. And so that's probably the bread and butter, for want of a better phrase, of the MBA programs that we offer. The 1+1 is something else that falls under my remit. This is a 2-year program now, and it's fairly unique, I think, amongst business schools. It allows you to be at Oxford for 2 years rather than 1. And in that 2 years, you'll study 2 individual 1-year master's degrees. So in the first year, you'll do a master's degree of your choice, and there's a whole range of things you can pick from that are official partners in the wider university. You could do public policy at our School of Government. You could do environmental change at our School of Geography. You could do social science of the internet at the Oxford Internet Institute, and many more. So on our website, you'll find, if you're interested, the whole range of partner programs. You do that for the first 12 months. It allows you to get a real depth of knowledge in your particular field that you've chosen. And in the second year of your 1+1, you come to the business school and you do the 1-year MBA that we've just talked about. So you graduate after 2 years with the depth of your field of study in year 1 and the breadth of business knowledge and how you can apply that in the real world in year 2. And you come out and do some amazing things in your future career. And it's a really good opportunity for people that know exactly what they want to do and have almost a little bit of a niche passion that is something that could be anything from like Russian literature or medieval languages or the theory of music. And some of them are more compatible with an MBA than others by their nature. But you'll meet some of the most interesting people that somehow think that, I want to do something around Latin American studies and an MBA. or African studies and an MBA. And the reasons behind that, they always make sense. They've always got these really amazing journeys that they're going on. And some of the most interesting candidates that I think I meet are the ones that are interested in the 1+1 because of that mix and match of things you can pair with the MBA. It's really incredible. And then the third option at the school is probably the executive MBA. Now, this does not sit with my team, but I have a partner associate director who works for the executive MBA. That is different from the full-time MBA in the fact that it's more of a modular course. So it takes place over about 20 months. It has 2 intakes per year versus the full-time MBA that has 1 intake per year. And the executive MBA is probably designed for a more experienced candidate. So he or she is probably already at quite a senior position in his or her company. They're looking to maybe develop that position further, not looking to pivot. Not always, some people do, but a lot of people are looking to stay and accelerate and move further. They stay in their employment while they study with us. They travel to us. There are 16 week-long modules that take place over that 20 months, and they fly in and out of Oxford from their home base. They stay with us for that week. They have a really intense, rewarding period of learning each week, and then they fly home to their families, to their jobs, to their day-to-day lives, and then come back and repeat 15 more times before graduating. But the content is fairly similar to the full-time MBA. There's crossover in faculty, there's crossover in some curriculum, a few different modules based around what kind of leaders they're looking to be, but essentially it's almost a mirror image of what you'll learn on the full-time program compared to the executive MBA. For our full-time MBA, we're looking for at least 2 years of work experience so that you can bring some experiences with you and discuss them in class with your peers. We tend to be more flexible with that for the 1+1 because that first year of the MSc that you choose within the wider university is so in-depth. It can sometimes replace the need to bring the experience with you. And so you'll often find that candidates for the 1+1 are probably a little bit younger, a little bit less experienced. There's certainly no fixed requirement. We still want you to be an active member of the MBA cohort in the time that you join them. So if you do have experience, even if it's just a year, it still allows you to kind of bring your own life experiences to the classroom to share with others. So that's a nice thing to have. But because of the depth you'll go to in that first year, then the need for quite robust work experience isn't there as much for the 1+1. Yeah, the numbers aren't huge. I would say it varies again a little bit here and there, year on year. In terms of applications for the 1+1, we probably only see just a few more than 100 in a year. In terms of people that get onto both programs, it's the University of Oxford. Again, getting onto one program is competitive. Getting onto two is a little bit harder. You have to be accepted by both programs, and they're both looking for quite different things. So maybe anything from 12 to 20 are coming from their first year into the MBA for year number 2. That can sometimes be a bit fewer, a few more, but it's around that number. So less than 10% of the class is being filled by 1+1 candidates. So we still have plenty of space to build the cohort that we want. But it does obviously feed into that overall diversity demographic, and we want to be mindful of the fact that we want to keep that diversity as rich as we can and not have too much representation from one region or from one sector, because I think one of the things that allows us to stand a little bit apart from the crowd on the MBA is just how diverse it can be. So we have to be mindful of the fact that, every year we'll have an incoming cohort, or at least part of an incoming cohort, that we know about way in advance because they're already on course for the 1, and they're coming to us for the +1 in a year's time. So yeah, it's good to have information like that ahead of time, and it does form part of our strategy, but it's not a big enough number that really ever becomes prohibitive. There are a few benefits that probably range from the fairly superficial, and I don't want to use that word lightly. Some people just enjoy spending 2 years in Oxford. The 1-year MBA goes so quickly that if you speak to a lot of the MBA students, they say, I wish I had more time. I wish I could do the year again, because it goes so fast. So apart from that very obvious, well, you're here for 2 years, you can walk down these amazing corridors and around these incredible buildings for an extra 12 months. There's a scholarship available only to 1+1 candidates. And so because there's only maybe 12 to 20 people that get admitted onto both programs, the pool of candidates we pull from for this scholarship is fairly small. And the scholarship itself will cover tuition costs and living expenses to a point, a living stipend for both of your years. And so if you're selected for the scholarship, it means that your tuition is covered, you'll get a certain amount of money per year for accommodation and living expenses. And so you get the benefit of 2 years in Oxford, not for free, because everyone's lifestyle is a little bit different. So some people might have a bit more of an expensive hobby than others, and you might have to still cover that partly yourself. But tuition certainly, and probably your accommodation will be covered in its entirety. And so that's a real benefit. And then alongside that, in terms of the outcomes for the individuals, I think it enables you to have a background that will, in the future, allow you to be seen as a real leader in your field. MBAs on its own, an MBA is a fairly popular thing in North America, in Europe, in Asia. It's worldwide, it's global. And so if you think about all the business schools added together, how many people graduate from an MBA each year, it's in the thousands. And so they're all incredibly impressive individuals, and they all go on to do amazing things. But if you pair an MBA with something that is the depth of a master's degree from Oxford, especially if it's in something that's fairly unique, water conservation, things like Russian studies, those kind of things, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I would think that these people will be the go-to expert in that field, and will have that kind of legitimacy and that kind of, yes, that person is definitely who I want to go and talk to, because look at his or her background, look at where they've studied, look at what they've studied. And it allows you to be a real leader in your field that sometimes maybe an MBA that is fairly common that thousands of other people get. And I don't want to diminish the MBA here, Rick, it's an incredible thing for people to do, but that extra level of just legitimacy, and I can't quite think of the word that I want to use, but it just gives you a bit more depth to what you can offer, a bit more of an expertise around your area of your subject, your area that you've chosen. And I just think that allows you to have that bit more credibility. I think that's the word that I want to use. The credibility that comes with having that extra depth is something that I don't think occasionally an MBA can do on its own. If you want to go into the kind of field where you have that kind of hierarchy, where you have one or two people at the very top that are world famous, world renowned for being leaders in their field, I think the 1+1 will get you there more than just the MBA. European schools, we're all very diverse. We're all 90% or more international. That's not uncommon at all for a European school. And so that isn't a thing that we really allow ourselves to even really talk about, because it's something you'll find at all of our incredible competitor schools. What we like to think we are good at is diversity of thought more than diversity of regional representation. And by that, I mean, you look at where people have come from in terms of experience and sectors. And, we'll have men and women from consulting and finance. Of course we will. We'll have people that are lawyers, people that are doctors, people that are working in forms of education. We'll have Olympic athletes. We'll have people that are working in social ventures, and people that are working in large organizations like the UN, the World Food Programme, the World Bank. What is common probably to all of them is that probably two things, if you'll allow me to talk about two things. First of all, there's a really strong appetite with all of them to learn from each other. It's a very collaborative MBA here at Oxford. And by that, I mean, a lot of what we do is team-based study group work. It's team challenges. It's pitting groups against other groups. It's very rarely just individual work. Obviously, individual exams are there, and you'll have your own performance that you can fall back on if you're a particularly strong exam taker, but a lot of it is working as part of teams. And so the desire to want to learn from your peers, just yesterday when we had our first day of term for the new class, the thing that is always the nicest to see, and I don't quite know how they just keep up the stamina to do this all day, but just the number of introductions that are happening around you when you walk through the corridors and it's break time and they're saying hello to everyone and getting to know each other. And I don't know how many times you have to say, my name is this, and I come from this region, and this is my role, and this is my experience. But they do it over and over again because they just want to make those connections from the very first minute. They want to learn from each other as much as they possibly can. And that's one of the great things that we see in common that all of our candidates that come into the school in any of our programs really have. The second thing probably is a sense of curiosity that they want to explore the role they can play. And the thing that I mentioned earlier around that intersection between what is traditional business's role in society, what will my role as a global leader look like when I graduate? What would it look like in 5 or 10 years' time? How does the Oxford MBA future-proof my career in a way that allows me to take the best parts of what traditional business has to offer and then mix that in with what future society will need? And we are fairly well known for being a school that takes social responsibility seriously, and we do, and that's fair to say. But we're talking about the role of multinationals in the future of society as well. We're talking about the role of big business in future society. You can work for a McKinsey, you can work for a Goldman Sachs, you can work for a BlackRock and still have an impact on society. And that's what we're trying to engender and encourage in our candidates. And so in the application process, as part of the interview process, we're looking for that spark, that sense of curiosity that allows us to see this person is wanting to be asked these questions. This person is looking for these answers because he or she is looking to already try and find his or her place as a future global leader in what society will become in the next few years. When I first started in this role, my first role at the school was my first role at a business school, full stop. I'd never really worked in this form of higher education recruitment before. And so it was all a bit of a steep learning curve for me. What I noticed in the first couple of years is that, we're part of the University of Oxford. That comes with certain expectations about academic efficacy, academic strength. Your GMAT must be high, your GRE must be high, your undergraduate degree must be stellar from a good university. I actually had a concern when I first started at the school that I would be talking to people that I felt would have something of value to offer, but their academic scores might be an obstacle in terms of would Oxford as an institution take them seriously? Would they consider them for one of their places on their courses? It turned out very quickly on in my tenure here that was something I didn't need to be concerned about. It's a very, and I think this word is used a lot, but it's true here at Oxford, it's a very holistic approach to how we evaluate someone's candidacy. I think what we've noticed really is an increased requirement, an increased need to have the softer skill set polished to the point where the question now becomes, at least for my team and me, what is your GMAT? Fine. What is your undergraduate degree? Fine. Are you employable? Do you have the skill set to get the job that you tell us you want in your application? Can we, with the Careers Development Center at the school, our incredible group of people, can we help you achieve the things that you're looking to achieve? And that comes down to, yes, using our networks and training you on some of those kind of interview techniques and processes and showing you the best ways to network and getting the right people on side. But at the same time, we can't be there with you in the interview. We can't be the people that answer the questions for you. We can't be the people that when you're networking at these events, we can't speak on your behalf. You have to have that skill set yourself. And so the focus for my team has switched in the last few years from let's go for the strongest GMATs and the best undergraduate degrees. We still want those things. Of course, there's an expectation that you can handle the rigor of the MBA, that you're academically strong enough to be able to deal with quite strong quant, finance, and analytical classes. But it's no use to anyone if you're the smartest person in the room, but you actually haven't had the experience of working in teams, or you haven't had the experience of having those more social skills where you can go and present in front of a room of people and impress them, where you can go and network with small groups and get across a sense of value that you can bring to them. Because those things aren't teachable, those things are built on experience. And so if you don't have those things in your application, and we'll look for them in the application, we introduced Kira videos a couple of years ago to try and get a sense of your personality before we met you at the interview, because the admissions process often is on paper, it's black and white, it's discrete facts and figures. and it doesn't show your personality, and it doesn't show how well you can handle the pressure of presenting to a room full of 100 people, and it doesn't show how collaborative you are. And so we introduced Kira videos and kind of, accelerated that shift from what is your academic background to what is your personality? How employable are you? Do people want to be sat next to you in a lecture for 7 hours a day? It's those kind of things that aren't easy to grasp, but so important to possess in order to be a success, I think, at a business school and in your future career. So to answer your question, I think the shift has gone from a fairly traditional Oxford outlook of academia to one that still includes that. Don't get me wrong, we still want the best and the brightest, of course we do. But also on top of that, we want people that are able to go out there and integrate with the world and be a success. And as we hear from employers that softer skills are becoming more and more important, then we're looking for that in our candidates too. If you look at the employment reports that come out of the school, on a yearly basis, you'll notice that traditionally, and it's been growing over the past year or so, Europe as a whole, and the UK, we include the UK within that, is easily more than half of the class choose to stay. Now, if you think about where people are coming from on the way in, we probably have about 6 to 8% of people from the UK, and we probably have no more than 14 or 15% of people from the continent of Europe. And so that's based on citizenship, not based where they currently live. Now, if you think about over half of the class are then staying within Europe with their post-MBA career, you'll notice, I think, that the Careers Development Centre is very good at allowing and encouraging that path to happen. So if you're a candidate and you're thinking, I want to come to Oxford because I want to make a fairly permanent transition into Europe, or at least for the next few years, I want to base myself there, that is a path that is very well trodden by our cohort. And so because of that, you should feel encouraged that that is a path that you can also take. With regards to the employment numbers, when I first started 5 years ago, I think the first employment report that came out in my first year was something in the low 80% of people had a job within the first 3 months of graduation. Last year was a little bit different because of COVID and the circumstances around the world. But the careers team have now got it up to over 90, 91, 92%. And so the vast majority of people that are looking for work beyond graduation, and so we don't include people that are going back to their own company because they're not actively seeking employment. But of the ones actively seeking employment, 92% get one within 3 months, get a job within 3 months of graduating, and the number beyond 3 months is even higher than that. And so I'd like people to feel confident and feel assured that if they're thinking about, can Oxford help me with my career transition? Can they help me get the job that I want? Then yes, we absolutely can. But I would also add, it's a two-way process. Please don't make the mistake that some people have in the past, where they come to Oxford and think, I'm in, I'm admitted, I've made it, I'll graduate and the job will be waiting for me, because it still takes work. We'll still need you to use your own networks that you've built so far. We'll still need you to turn up to the sessions that we're running to help you get the job that you want to do. The careers team will do everything they possibly can, but they need you to meet them halfway at the same time. So please don't think that admissions is the final piece of that careers puzzle and getting in is all you need to do. Because yes, we're lucky, the Oxford brand is strong. It will at least maybe open a door to an interview, of course. We can't deny that, but you still have to walk through that door and then perform in the interview. And the Oxford brand will not save you from a poor interview performance. It will not save you from a lack of preparation in terms of how you approach that interview, that opportunity. And that's what I want people to realize, is that the careers team is incredible at what they do, but they need your help to be able to do that. It's probably not as exclusive a club as people think that it is. Widening access, widening participation is something that I am personally very passionate about, and it's something that the business school and the wider University of Oxford take very seriously. Now, don't get me wrong, it's competitive, but show me an MBA that isn't competitive to get into. I would say that it's still a piece of work that takes time, that takes focus, that takes dedication. Your MBA application is a chunk of your life. People will take 3 months, 6 months, 2 years sometimes to prepare and get the kind of GMAT and GRE and test scores that they want and that they're happy with. So it's still going to be something that you're going to have to focus on and dedicate a lot of your time to, but it's not at all impossible to get into Oxford. I would like to kind of send a message to people who might be out there questioning whether they would ever get into Oxford. And the message is, don't ever let that thought get into your head. The number of people that I've spoken to individually over my time recruiting for Oxford, or now in my time as associate director, that were like, Liam, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why you let me in. Somebody must have made a mistake. The imposter syndrome that you have, I think maybe with MBAs in general, but also with MBAs here at Oxford, it's a real tangible thing. But every one of them is amazing in their own way. Every one has strengths. Every one has value that they can add that maybe we weren't able to find in other candidates. Everyone has earned their place. Everyone is there for a reason. And it's not because we struggled to fill the class. We're fortunate that we have enough interest in our MBA that I don't think we would ever struggle to fill the class. Our challenge is to find the best people to build the cohort that we want to build, that will be the piece of the jigsaw that brings it all together. And every single person that's in the class that started yesterday for the first day of term brings the puzzle together in their own unique way. So if you're out there thinking, I'm not going to try because I'll never get in, don't think that, because that's why my team and I exist. We want to have those conversations with you. We want to hear from you. We want to hear a little bit about what you can bring, because everyone will be able to bring something that other people can't. Now, the other side of that coin is that it is competitive. It is sadly a case that not everybody can get in based on the number of applications that we get. And so I would say, in terms of application numbers compared to class size, there's probably an acceptance rate of about 17%. You don't need to be that good at maths to understand how many applications we've had. You know how big our class is, so you can work out how many applications we generally get. It's in the thousands, but we make a number of offers because we know that we are in competition with other schools. Of course we are, that's the nature of the business. And so we generally over offer. I think every business school does, because we know that not everyone will accept. So to get an offer, it's actually fairly common to get a place. Then it's down to you whether you want to choose our offer or not. So the message is encouraging on the one hand, absolutely. We want to hear from you. We want to have those conversations. The message on the other hand is still put some effort into it. We want to see that you're taking it seriously. The number of applications that we have, whether the information is a bit thin on the ground, there's a whole section about your career plan, for example, and some people will just be very light touch about what they want to do. Based on what we've just talked about, you'll know that our career aspirations and how well we can help you achieve your own career goals is very important to us. And so we want to see that you've put a lot of thought into that. So don't think as though you can get away with a half-hearted application. That is absolutely not the case. We will not look very favorably on someone that we think hasn't put his or her all into their application. It's still a big piece of work, as I mentioned. In terms of what makes a good ideal candidate, I think it's someone who isn't afraid to really show who they are. We get a lot of applications that if you were to black out the name, you go through with a marker pen and just cross it out and cross out all the personal details, and you just read it side by side, you think it's the same person every time. Because a lot of people share a similar background. They work in finance, they work in consulting, or they want to work in finance or work in consulting. And so because of that, they've maybe done some research, they've spoken to some people that have done the MBA, and they're talking about, okay, like a typical application for a finance MBA might look like this. And so you can almost tell what they want to do without reading the career aspirations page by how they frame their essay or how they frame their work experience so far, because it's very similar. It's very kind of carbon copy in some respects. So for me, the best candidate is the one who makes themselves as unique as they can. Not in a false way, but just isn't afraid to be authentic. One of the best essays that I ever read. For a tangible example here is a lady who was a professional dancer from the age of maybe 4 to around about 18 when she started taking her academic career a bit more seriously. And she was able to kind of weave into her essay the skill set and the discipline and the motivation that she needed for her professional dance career, and how she balanced that with her academic career, and how that enabled her to have this really strong base for her future in business because of all the skills and discipline that it had taught her. And you don't often see that kind of extracurricular background in your personal statement to talk about it and link it so well to your future career at the same time. That was a really strong example of just how many other professional dancers do we have this year, guys? We don't have any. She was completely unique. And that allows the person to jump out at the page, or jump out from the page, I should say, at us, and makes us sit up and think, this is someone we have to talk to. This is someone we have to interview. Like, there's something just about this person that we can't find in someone else. And that's essentially what we're looking for. We're looking for this melting pot of personalities and different skills and experiences that when you put them together, you would never really think that they would mix that well. But actually, it's just this amazing outcome where they're just sparking ideas off each other and learning. So I guess my final message to anyone who's considering making an application to any of the programs here at Oxford is just maybe use that personal statement, maybe use the essay, maybe find a way in your application to be as open and as honest as you're comfortable being. Make it personal. Tell us about what drives you. Tell us about something that happened in your past, in your childhood, something that happened to one of your relatives or one of your friends, or an experience that you've been through that has helped shape who you are, because fundamentally that's what we want. We want to know who you are, not what your GMAT score tells us about you. And that's the key difference that I think people sometimes lose sight of, is that it's all about what that score says. It's all about what your undergrad says, and it's not. It's about what can you as a human being bring to this amazing group of human beings that we're trying to build to take things forward for the future. And that's really, I think, the best way that I can describe it. And I don't know if that answers your question or if I've gone on for too long, but that would be my answer to what makes a good candidate, I think.